Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Tantra's Mantra, where we go behind and beyond the tech news headlines. I'm your host, Prakash Sangam, founder and principal at Tantra Analyst. Today's episode is special because it's our 50th. To celebrate that, we have a special guest and an important topic to discuss. So, 2024 has been an important year in the PC industry, for the PC industry, where Microsoft tried to redefine PC through the introduction of Copilot Plus PCs. This new breed of PCs not only brought AI in a big way to laptops, but also significantly elevated the performance and battery life of PCs, making them effectively compete and win against Apple. And we'll see how that goes. As you all know, the first Copilot Plus PCs were brought with Qualcomm Snapdragon X Elite platform, followed by Intel Lunar Lake and AMD Ryzen AI 300 based PCs a couple of months ago. We have extensively covered this topic on all of our channels in terms of many episodes of Tantra's Mantra, many articles on it, blogs, reviews, and so on. I'll include a link to them in the description of the podcast. Please do check them out. But now that the laptops have been around for some time, obviously accelerates longer than Lunar Lake and Ryzen AI 300. Consumers have had chance to buy, experience them, and so on. And I know many of the enterprises are running POC and trials and getting ready for upgrade season in 2025. Of course, there is a Windows 11 upgrade cycle coming in 2025 as well. As some of this upgrade has already started with Windows 10 in the extended support mode and sunsetting in October 2025. So the questions everybody has is, how are these Copilot Plus PCs faring in the marketplace, especially in the enterprise market? What are the market drivers? Is AI really that big a deal for enterprises to go buy these PCs now? If so, what are the use cases they are looking at, and so on? To hear answer to all these questions, let's hear them from horse's mouth. So our special guest, Steve Long, who is SVP of Commercial Business at market leader Lenovo. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey Prakash, thanks for having me.
Excellent. So before we get onto the discussion about Copilot Plus PCs, I hope they change the name. It's a tongue twister. Your experience at Lenovo, so you spent significant amount of time at Intel
I did.
and recently moved to Lenovo. I think it's a different flavor, different challenge, I would think, and also moving from a sales kind of a role to a P&L and a general manager kind of a role. So would love to hear how last few months have been.
Thanks Prakash again for having me, and congrats on 50 episodes. That's a big milestone. And I've been called a lot of things, but I've never been called a horse and a horse's mouth. So let's preface with we're going to have some fun and give you a perspective of someone who, like you said, has been at this amazing company Lenovo for the last 9 months.
Mhm.
I started in March after, like you said, 24 years coming at things from the semiconductor side at Intel, living across the world in different roles.
Yep.
Joining Lenovo has been a ton of fun, to be honest. This company is a lot of companies profess to be global. This company absolutely is. Our
Mhm.
leadership is distributed. We act in 180 plus markets. We have the scale that many wish they had. Top 10 global operations, supply chain, a partner first mindset, and a culture that lets us innovate
Mhm.
and really experiment. I'm responsible, like you said, for the commercial business here, the commercial devices business, which
Mhm.
is everything from what you'd expect in PCs, which you want to talk about, but it actually crosses across things that are things that we bring along with the PC. So visuals and accessories and things that make an experience better,
Mhm.
and as well as some businesses which are solution businesses, from things that we can help people improve collaboration in conference rooms to even on-prem like solutions around workstations, to we call it our OEM business, which actually integrates and is all about what a customer is actually trying to do with devices and driving outcomes for businesses. So it is a ton of fun and it's an exciting moment because, as you said, there's a lot of enthusiasm around both the opportunity to refresh and just your core business, but also on what AI can do to transform things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and next couple of years are going to be really interesting for the whole industry. So, obviously, as I mentioned, we are at the beginning of the AI PC or Copilot Plus PC cycle. What has been this traction so far? The initial Accelerate sales numbers mentioned in the public were not that impressive. I think 700K from May till the last month or so, and it's still early for Intel and AMD. But would love to hear your sense of the traction from the enterprise market specifically.
Yeah, I think there's so I'd say a couple things. First off, Lenovo is number one in the enterprise space. We've been in that privileged position for some time because we again give our customers what they want and give them choice.
Absolutely, yeah.
The first silicon vendor that you said that came out with, I think it's important to step back probably and just say what is an AI PC,
Mm-hmm,
and it's a little everyone's trying to define it a little bit differently, inclusive of different silicon vendors, different, Microsoft has a definition. I think we're converging on some things that are important to have,
mm-hmm,
there's some architecture differences which at the end of the day people shouldn't care about, but CPUs, NPUs, and GPUs, and what that architecture does is it allows people to, over time, as software catches up, use the device in a different way.
mm-hmm,
And so I think there's enthusiasm because, okay, this architecture change is going to enable a wave of momentum and a wave of different use cases that I would say we're in the very early stage of, even as an industry and as enterprises figure out exactly how we're going to use them.
mm-hmm,
So definition wise, in the beginning, like you said, there was, I think, enthusiasm around Copilot Plus, which required certain metrics around these different architectural elements.
mm-hmm,
But at Lenovo, we have defined it probably in the most the real way in which I think ultimately we're going to measure success over time of AI PCs, and that's, you need the architecture, yes, but you also need the open ecosystem of devices. You need security, and more importantly, you need an agent or a different way of accessing or using personal data. So you need an agent and you need some personal localized data.
mm-hmm,
And I would say that part, the hitting all five of those elements is a transition and a transformation in process. And so if you're measuring, AI PC by the early days of Qualcomm was the first out of the chute, the Snapdragon X and Snapdragon X Elite processors that came out in May timeframe or so, or into June really was when they were launched and into
mm-hmm,
market. There's been some traction.
mm-hmm.
These are great devices generation on generation, but I think the transformation is still upon us, and there are some interesting use cases which we can talk more about. But it's early. Like if you're in, I'm a big soccer fan or a football fan. So if you're in the football realm, like I'd say we're in the first 5 minutes of the game, and this game's going to go all the way to a nice overtime like the last World Cup, and it's going to end in the penalty shootouts at some point. So we're early in the stage.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. A nice analogy there. So, going back to the basics, as you mentioned, so what are some of the key drivers and the reasons that the enterprises are looking at this will buy these?
Yeah, I think, well, first and foremost, like IT decision makers pretty secure, pretty, historically have looked at productivity indicators as one of the first things that they measure. Can they take cost out of their equation? Can they make ease of deployment, things like that, to
Mm-hmm,
their users, user experience, employee experience, productivity, security?
mm-hmm,
Those are probably the top kind of fundamental reasons why anybody would in an IT shop would be looking at continuing to change things.
uh-huh,
I think there's some new metrics that are coming in around, opportunities again to, or sustainability is starting to become a bigger reason to purchase if you're in the enterprise.
mm-hmm,
And ultimately, though, I think where and why people would want an AI PC is, what can I do transformatively
uh-huh,
with the device? And you could angle that into productivity. We've tried to simplify it and say, with an AI PC,
mm-hmm,
there are things that you can make devices more personal.
yeah,
in terms of, again, local language models, local access to things that you do, PCs that respond or devices that respond in the way that you are working.
Mm-hmm.
You can make them more productive, or you can be much more productive because you can access information easier. You can do, real-time translations. There's some use cases of things that are enabled because of some of the functionality on the device.
Yeah.
And you can get some improvements in security and protection because of the dynamic usage of some of these architectures in the background can make the PC or the device more secure, right? On more moving from reactive to a lot more proactive features in some of the security softwares.
Okay. And also the battery life and the performance, which has been, step up compared to the previous generations with these AI PCs, right? Is that a driver for it as well?
Absolutely. And I'm painting a picture
Yeah.
where I tell this journey. I think there's a journey, right? Today, you're absolutely right. Why are people going out to refresh? Productivity metrics are around what you just described, like, or productivity and employee metrics around,
Mm-hmm.
is the device more responsive? Does it have a longer battery life? Is it thinner, lighter? The things that you would expect in a generation on generation, device transition. And I think with some of the capabilities in these
Yeah.
different in this new architecture that's come out, you can achieve all those. We are seeing real use case. I'm carrying today one of these devices that gives me, basically, I do not carry around a charger, even using Teams applications, right, which are high intense, can suck out
Yeah.
a lot of your capabilities and batteries. So they are transformational generation, but
Uh-huh.
but we're still selling them generation on generation. And I think the real things will come as we move into
Yeah.
use cases which make experiences better, and then ultimately make you drive a different way in which you're working, or drive towards a different, a transformational way in which you're being productive, right? That are doing things for you, or that are more predictive in the way that you're interfacing.
Yeah, indeed. I tested out the Yoga 7X Slim. I mean, battery life is amazing. It's unbelievable. And I've got the Carbon X1 now.
Good.
Still trying to test it out. So yeah, I mean, we have been talking about it, a full day of battery life without a charger and such, but with this breed of PCs, you actually realize it,
They're real.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, they're real. They're
yeah,
real now.
yeah, yeah.
And that's good. And I was going to say, that's good. And I'm glad you're testing some of the innovation that's coming out. And X1 Carbon is a great product. You're going to see some other things coming up which are extremely innovative and unique. We launched at IFA, at the event in Berlin early in
Berlin, yeah,
September.
yeah.
Yeah, we unveiled a new category of devices, which is unique to Lenovo, where we went out and actually studied users. And this is a 3-year thing that we've done
Mm-hmm,
jointly with our friends at Intel, around studying what it is that people actually are ultimately care about. Found 3 different use cases,
mm-hmm,
and have developed a new brand that we're wrapping this around. We call it Aura,
yeah,
like your aura. And it's all about experiences. And there's different experiences in there around smart modes, and that the the device is adapting to you,
correct.
extending the battery life, shortening it. There's smart care, so people that want to access, direct communication with IT, with a back office, premier support from Lenovo.
Yeah,
Or we can embed that into an enterprise where they can go straight to their IT shop, have a chat, and improve their experience. Or smart share modes, where intra-device operability, where you can share pictures and across phones into your PC, and mechanisms like that. So I think that's where we're going to take this thing, from great battery life to actual great experiences.
yeah, indeed. I'm a super user of sharing between phone and laptop. You use Unison.
Good.
I'm really interested to test the speed, the ease of use with Aura between an Android phone and the laptop, and I'll definitely speak about it. Yeah. So moving on to the use cases itself. Yeah, there, obviously AI is developing at a breakneck speed. There will definitely be more applications, use case experiences coming in the future. But right now, There are few that are useful, like the Windows effect for your camera and so on. Many like the translation and other things. Yeah, they have limited utility. So the use of AI itself in enterprise especially is pretty limited right now. I mean, recall was one use case, a lot of controversies, but ultimately it's coming. What is your read of the adaptability of recall in enterprises? I think it has challenges in consumers because it's my PC, my data. I don't want to give access to anybody else, and that kind of sentiment. But in enterprises, security, confidentiality, maintenance of that is much more important.
Hmm.
And I know obviously many enterprises have some third party applications which are sucking a lot of performance out of the PCs right now. I think recall will be a good option for them. Yeah, I would love to hear your view on recall for enterprises, the recall feature as such.
Well, I think like for a long time, like with the let's face it, IT shops can see what we're doing with our devices today. I think what recall, for
Yeah.
those that don't understand recall, it's basically an ability to take time-based images, or I should say time-based moments of what you're doing on your device, and make it easy for the user to access it right over time.
Hmm.
And the reason it's
Yeah.
come under, I think, a little bit of scrutiny has just been looking at whether or not we want people to be able to go back and someone, a third party or someone, get something that think maybe you don't want, maybe you want that to disappear. But the reality is, in a cloud-based world, or in, I joke, some of my kids, they don't even realize that they're disappearing messages, they're out there somewhere and people can find them,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
the technology's always been capable. It's about like letting people opt in and choose that that's what they want and take control over it. And so I think
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, that's how enterprises think about what they, from a security standpoint, that's what they're trying to do. They just want to remain, I'll say, in control and not let something inadvertent happen with their, with data. And data is the treasure. You don't want somebody to be able to inadvertently make a mistake on that. And so I think a lot of our AI use cases, whether recall or again some are agentic AI. So we have an agent AI now, which we
Mhm.
are actively looking at how we can enable these personalized uses on device inside an enterprise. Make sure that we allow the enterprise to remain in control, right? And they can opt
Yep.
what they want to be their local database or their local data access.
Yep.
Very clear rigors of when something would then
Hmm.
go into the cloud, and when it would go, or if you're exiting, things that are on your device versus what you're when you're leaving the device and you're actually going to go into the cloud, making it very clear with prompts, making it clear with opt-in messages. I think those are the things that will overcome any resistance that people may have of use cases like that of recall in the enterprise, or just even in deployment of large action models or agents inside the enterprise. Those are the things we got to overcome. And I'd say
Yep.
Lenovo's in a pretty good position to be doing that. We were ahead in experimenting with some of these use cases. Again, our agents in the consumer space were out time to market with these
Hmm.
devices as they went out.
Hmm.
We're starting now to get better data, and we think of this as like a flywheel of learning on what it is that people are what's useful to them and what's not. We can adapt to that.
And we keep talking about use cases and new experiences and so on. And while we are waiting for those, I think the enterprise I talk to, CIOs and IT managers, they see a opportunity of improving the performance with some of the applications they already run, like security, which is running 24/7 on the back end of your PC, sucking the performance away. I think NPU
Hmm.
with the Copilot PCs can manage those in a much better, much battery efficient way, right? So of course there will be new use case and interesting use cases using AI. But even in my view, the initial traction will be more moving over these applications, that a lot of enterprise applications, device management, security and others, moving to better processing node like NPU to improve the performance that way, right?
No, I think you're spot on. It's back to your comment that you kind of led with around, hey, I really like the battery life of these new Lenovo,
Yeah.
these Lenovo systems, and we said, yeah, that's great. I think you're right. Existing applications which can run better
Yeah.
or more effectively, so we'll give you an example on security. To your point,
Mm-hmm.
we have partnered with Sentinel One,
Mm-hmm.
one of the fastest growing SaaS security SaaS companies out there.
Mm-hmm.
We have worked with them to first bring them into our Think Shield, which is industry leading security software by Lenovo. We've taken some of their capabilities of their product,
Yeah.
and we have now in some mid-market spots and smaller enterprises, we offer it in a very easy way, bundled in with ThinkShield with differentiated experience, because we are rewriting their software to take advantage of this new architecture, so that
Mm-hmm.
what you're describing, the threat detection mechanisms, which can be a drain on the battery,
Yeah.
those are now happening on the NPU.
Yeah.
Again, end user or an IT shop should not care that we have a GPU, an NPU, and a CPU. But what they should care about is that as these software vendors like Sentinel One,
Yeah.
partnering with leadership companies like Lenovo, that we can work together to make their experience better because we're offloading this thing in the background. That's what they want:
Yeah.
better productivity, longer battery life, more secure, protected users at the end of the day. And so I think you're right. You're going to find people rewriting and using some of their existing applications.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we're going to keep experimenting to find the use cases which will be truly transformative. And I think we're, like I told you, we're in the 5 minutes of the football game in figuring some of those out. We have some examples which we can talk a little more about, but I think everyone's looking for the killer app, and a lot of times hardware leads software. Not a lot of times, it always hardware's first, software catches up.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
I think that's where we are.
Indeed. Yeah. So, think talking about the use cases at the Lenovo Tech World event in September, I think you talked about, especially Gen AI use cases implementing in your own enterprise systems and seeing the benefits, kind of eating your dog food. Can you talk about some of those?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We like to pilot our own things first so that we can learn, and then help our partners and help our customers along with theirs as well. So
Yep.
there were a few different use cases, and this is also where I think AI will be on the edge devices, or these PCs, or any kind of like endpoint device is going to be evolutionary as to how we even talk to customers about it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you have to go in, and sometimes the IT shop, which cares about productivity or cares about the security aspects that we've spoken to,
Yeah.
they care about transformation, but the real people that care about transformation are the departments
Yeah.
that are implementing the use cases.
Mm-hmm.
So an example in sale or in marketing. Let's start in marketing, right? The marketing teams, a
Yeah.
lot of what we do in marketing is customizing content and collateral to different audiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different verticals,
Mm-hmm.
because some of our use cases, they're horizontal, they can go across any industry,
Yeah.
but many of them are very unique. And the more sophisticated you get in talking about a solution,
Yeah.
the more oriented you have to be to what the custom problem is in a certain sector. So
Mm-hmm.
our marketing team spend a significant amount of time and money
Mm-hmm.
with different agencies in customizing content, and trying to repackage things like, honestly, we have the ability to do that. So we deployed internally, at our company, a thing called Lenovo Studio AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's an AI powered engine, a platform that basically empowers our marketing team,
Yeah.
and we've translated now to our partners to quickly create some personalized content that they can quickly turn into collateral that's relevant to the audience that they're with.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, it would have been, okay, let me stop, let me pause. If it hasn't been created, maybe I even have to go to an agency, because the same look and feel, how do I package it, the wording, all of this. So we've been able to accelerate, and there are numbers behind this. I won't quote them on this podcast, but they're percentage of improvement. So we're talking about things that people can do faster,
Mm-hmm.
and frankly, they can save money on.
Indeed.
And that's one example inside the marketing collateral. Legal teams. Let's go over
Uh-huh.
to the legal department. Legal departments have to review all sorts of different contracts. And one of the other capabilities that we've deployed is an agent engine that will run across contracts and basically come back to the person reviewing the contract
Mm-hmm.
or our legal department, and it can siphon through and quickly highlight the things that are not standard or that are different than what the policies say. So they're getting intelligent enough to where they can cross pollinate between here's what I want, what's in this document, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
translation of those two things. So very, very revolutionary for looking at contracts. So that's an example in legal. Our sales teams making their use cases. Who do they call on, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
hundreds, thousands of customers, or some of our reps have 50, 60 customers in their portfolio, and they're like, well, who do I call on today? Why do I call on them?
Yeah.
So translating different databases of customer insight, information or data into information and actions to the sales team.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that we've partnered on and with internally. So those are a few different examples. Now each of those
Mm-hmm.
are heavy lift because they require customization,
Yeah.
and they're heavy lifts also because they require people to do work differently,
Yeah.
and we're not used to that. And so I like to say a lot of this is also going to be a journey of people thinking different about how they work.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And how are you taking the learnings from your own experience to your customers? And being a market leader, I think you could kind of have a guideline for everybody to follow, if you will.
Yeah,
You test them in your own yards, and then introduce them to the customers so that they can see for themselves. And then that's kind of the cycle of adoption, right?
no, you're spot on, and that's actually Lenovo's strategy
Mm-hmm.
is one of founded in. We have great core business has developed great innovative started in hardware,
Uh-huh.
and this hardware makes its way to improving experiences through software. That's both in the data center side, so our infrastructure group who obviously helps in the back end,
Mm-hmm.
but also our devices team.
Yeah.
And we make our way into then offering great experiences with different software. We've talked about some of the things we do.
Yeah.
Now, where it all comes together, and the group that puts it all together is our services team.
Mm-hmm.
And our services business is one of the fastest growing service businesses in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're at, don't quote me, but it's like 13. We might be 14 now consecutive quarters of continued growth in this business.
Yeah.
Started with some services that are, I'll call them close to the device, where warranties and things that you'd expect that we would just bundle, premier support, tiering support.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're maturing that much beyond into capabilities of taking our customers and partners through experiences that we've had, whether that's in like how we have deployed and what we've learned from customization deployments of our devices with different personas inside our enterprise. So,
Mm-hmm.
thinking of the high end users, what are their needs, to somebody who might just be, a data inputter or something that they need more basic. So we have a platform called Care of One,
Uh-huh.
which pulls people and enterprises through that can customize workloads and customize kind of solutions for worker types.
Mhm.
But on the AI front, we've created a series of services that we offer. We're calling them kind of some of our AI fast starts,
Mhm.
fast start, where we can come in, take a customer through a workshop, talk about some of their pain points,
Mhm.
and then stitch together either from our own learnings. Obviously, we have an AI library,
Uh-huh.
which shows the use cases, but it's really about what each customer is trying to accomplish and where their biggest pain points are,
Yeah.
and then helping them go through that journey with our experts from all of the things that we've already learned or that we have capabilities that we can apply at problems. We're a deep engineering culture with again that global reach, which really is a differentiator for Lenovo.
Indeed, indeed. Going back to traction a little bit, how do you see the AI PCs and the ingestion of AI itself into enterprises? Is it that, taking AI PCs as an example, are enterprise looking to increase the penetration like a regular upgrade cycle, and after a certain period everybody gets their laptops upgraded in the company, or are they looking at specific personas, profiles? For example, I mean, as we talked about, these have great battery life, which would be perfect for, say, sales or the road warriors
Yeah.
kind of persona in the company. Start there and go from there. And also, is there any regional differences in terms of adopting AI PCs that you're seeing?
Yeah, those are great questions. First, I'd say is again, first, let me start with just what's happening market wise in the
Uh-huh.
enterprise device space
Hmm.
and more so the PC space. I feel like I've got one of the best jobs in the industry because I come in a moment where the
Uh-huh.
opportunity has never been bigger.
Yeah.
We have in COVID, when everybody had to go work at home, we all refreshed and got new
Great.
devices and we worked from home. Well, those devices are now entering a 4 into 5 years as we walk into
Uh-huh.
next year kind of life cycle. So
Yeah.
there's a refresh that is pent up,
Yep.
which is proven it will happen. It's a matter of when. And you layer on top of that kind of some of this excitement around, or some of this expectation around, capabilities of AI and what that can do. So that's, I think, also a
Hmm.
good, I'll call it a tailwind in our direction.
Yep.
And then, the third thing is Windows is going to end of service, Windows 10 by the end of next year. So some enterprises are going to be have devices which will no longer have security, or
Hmm.
if there's patches that need to happen, things of that nature that they're used to from Microsoft, they are going to be in a bind of either having
Yeah.
to get to an agreement with Microsoft, which Microsoft's saying they're going to limit that to,
Yeah.
you know, paying extra and transitioning. So I feel like there's a lot of tailwinds. And I think over time, I think there's two things that are going to happen over time. One is people are going to they continue to want to upgrade the device because it's got better better battery life, better screen, better keyboard, better architecture,
Hmm.
better all the things, device on device things are going to happen. So that's just going to naturally happen. AI
Hmm.
PCs are going to come down in system price points over time, as you alluded to. Qualcomm at 40 tops plus came out. One could debate whether or not we think that, Meteor Lake, which
Yeah.
was Intel's last generation PCs, are AI
Yeah.
capable or not. They have some functionality. They have an NPU, the functionality. But all devices, as we move
Yeah.
forward, or most of our price points start to get covered by
Hmm.
an AI kind of capable device
Hmm.
that has these NPU, CPU, GPU. And so that's going to happen naturally. And so I think you're going to see a faster transition just because that's going to happen. So IDC would say that 2/3 of these by 27 sometime, maybe it's 2027, over 2/3 plus will be
Yeah.
of the devices are going to be AI capable as defined by the architecture. I'm more bullish in the sense that I think we, as an industry and with our enterprises, we're going to find the other side of this second phenomena
Hmm.
that's going to happen, which is we're going to find real use cases where people extract value out of this thing, and we're going to discover these. We're looking for that killer use case as we go.
Hmm.
Copilot's got some interesting things. I mentioned two or three examples inside our company.
Hmm.
There's some real applications with code development that we haven't spoken to, and different financial service sectors. I mean, we're going to find these as we go, and those are going to be reasons why people are going to move and really transform and take advantage of the real opportunity that's here, and
Hmm.
not just future proofing themselves, but really transforming. So I think that'll happen. That's why I say the next 18, 24 months in this space is going to be, I think, really, really exciting.
And the Windows 10, as you mentioned, is in the extended support mode, which means if you want to keep Windows 10, you have to pay, I think, a significant amount to Microsoft to support that, right? It's on a per PC basis, think like $60 or so for enterprises. So is that kind of this additional fee that they have to pay to Microsoft? Is that sufficient enough incentive for companies to move quickly to Windows 11? I know by definition those will be AI PCs, or are they still waiting? Okay, we'll wait till October 2025? Is that when real sunset happens for Windows 10? Or
Well, look, I think anytime there is a financial reason or
yeah,
increase, like people are choosing where to spend their money, right? CapEx. Today, part of the reason I would even tell you why a device refresh we know is upon us. Again, I told you there's 200. I'll give you a couple of data, but there's 270 million I'll call them Windows 11 Pro
yeah,
ineligible devices. This is Microsoft data.
yeah,
80% of those are over 4 years old. 80%, 270 million. Just for numbers' sake, like that is the entire annual total market, including consumer, of devices that are ready to
yeah,
be refreshed. So it's huge. I think, a lot of people today have been spending their CapEx or their money, IT shops or enterprises
yeah.
on some of the data center, AI piece. And so they've been skimming a little bit on some of the PC or the device side, but that's going to catch up. And when they start looking at what you described, yes, increased fees to maintain older equipment. Honestly, we have studies and we can show data around why older devices actually start draining productivity, start increasing the amount of times that they're getting callbacks to service. All of those things are facts as well. And so you compound that, and I think there will be a natural reason for people to say, okay, it's time to come back and refresh. And Lenovo also partners and makes it easy on our customers to refresh. We're offering device as a service, so we can offer financing ways. We can offer people that
Mm,
want to convert from capex to opex. We can offer those ease of transitions to take the financial burden off. We can also offer service level agreements on the kinds of experiences they want to have. If they want to start future proofing only a certain level of productivity worker or knowledge worker, we can help them with some of those things and guarantee certain kinds of outcomes that
mhm.
they're looking for or experiences. I think those compounding things are going to make it, like I said, a really, really exciting time to be in this market.
And coming to this Qualcomm versus Intel, AMD, ARM versus x86. I mean, it's not the discussion or debate. Not everybody wants to be involved in, but that is the reality, right? So, Qualcomm is fairly new to the PC space, and when you were to the enterprise PC space, I know of companies running POCs on X Elite and so on. So,
Yeah,
what can you tell us about that? I know.
there's a lot of look. Yeah, I look at first. I'd say just in general, and I came from one of the silicon vendors. As I've learned the others, there's a lot of rich, innovative, and intelligent people across this industry, and it's a
Yeah.
privilege to work across all these partners. I'd say
Yep.
choice is good for everybody, and in this industry, it's been a highly concentrated history in the industry, and we're excited about offering choice and variety for what
Hmm.
for what enterprises want. And there's enough room in the industry for innovation and people to leapfrog with each other, one another, and we're excited to watch some of that kind
Hmm.
of unfold as we're in it. We have been for 3 years, with Qualcomm, or
Hmm.
for 3 generations, I should say. Lenovo's partnered on app compatibility, on learnings in the enterprise and with consumers on what Windows on ARM, or now the Qualcomm device, what that would look like. So we've got a lot of learning and institutional knowledge that
Hmm.
frankly our competitors don't. So we're
Yeah.
we're in an upper hand there. There are, to your point, we were early in some of the enterprise
Yeah.
deployments or proof of concepts. There's plans with our friends at Qualcomm, but like that, we've quickly seen some of the AMD 40 top plus systems coming out. We just launched a few of those,
Hmm.
I think a month or so ago, or we ship
Yep.
released about a month and a half ago. And similar with Intel with Lunar Lake, as they had their architecture. We talked
Yeah.
about Meteor Lake, but also now with Lunar Lake, and those experiences are gonna catch up to some of where Qualcomm had a lead, and but Qualcomm's launching new parts. So we're just excited to see some of the competition that's happening. And there's a lot of experimentation on this new architecture, whether it's on x86 or on ARM, and I think that's good for enterprises, good for everybody.
Yeah. Good for users. Good for OEMs like you that there is choice, but that also. you have to invest in terms of development, testing, and so on multiple platforms, right? That cost you, right?
Yes, it is
Correctly.
one of the hardest decisions that we have had to make as the landscape. Look,
Yeah,
the landscape in this industry has never been so complex at the, I'll
yeah,
call it at the top level, because you kind of start with, number of devices that we carry, and then those devices multiple. First differentiation you would say is what is inside from an architecture of a CPU, GPU, NPU. What is it?
hmm,
So now you have three vendors, probably some others coming into the market. So
indeed,
it
yeah,
gets really complex up at the top.
yeah,
And so what we've tried to do is really simplify the part underneath that, meaning
hmm,
the like components underneath, right? When COVID happened,
yeah,
the entire industry, just to continue shipping, started to validate tons of different vendors, memory vendors, PMIC vendors, all different component vendors
yeah,
of things that at the end of the day, if I'm telling you that architecture wise, the user shouldn't care about that, about NPU, CPU, GPU, they should care about the experience. Well, they certainly shouldn't care about some of these other smaller devices that are inside there. And so I think what we've tried to do is simplify the back end on this,
uh-huh,
standard building blocks, as we call them,
yeah,
so that we can let this silicon diversity thing at the top play out,
yeah,
and and ultimately make the right call, and let users make the right call. They're going to decide. Our
yeah,
customers will decide. Proofs in the silicon and proofs in the experience that we can bring.
yeah.
And the deeper the other part that we're moving towards is the deeper ISV relationships, which allow us to then lead with a software based experience, which ultimately leads us to
Yeah,
an outcome that customers care about because we found a use case they care about.
indeed, and your scale, that all OEMs have to do the same thing, and since you have a larger scale, so all that additional R&D that you have to spend can be amortized on a larger scale of devices compared to your competition, right? So that could be a
100%.
yeah,
You're spot on. We have, like we said earlier, we're number one
yeah,
in this market. We operate across 180 different countries, and the scale,
yeah,
not only our factory scale for PCs, but we're the only vendor out there that also, or the only company out there that has a pocket to cloud, as we say. So we can load our factories up with scale from every kind of device or screen that someone interfaces with, and that gives us a big advantage on amortizing R&D, but also on supply chain strength and resilience.
indeed, indeed, and since you're on both sides, both on the network side as well, device with the hybrid AI approach that you talked about. I mean, it's a totally different and much larger topic that we can address some other time. But that,
I was going to say, I'd love to talk to you about that. That's like opening
yeah,
up a whole new front, but it is. It's one of the advantages we have. I think we're going to live in a hybrid world where things,
yeah,
devices are going to interact with on-prem data in the cloud, and there's only a handful of companies that I'd argue Lenovo's the best position because of the breadth of what we do, and how we do it across the globe, and successfully navigating all of the complexities that's required on that. So,
yeah, indeed, indeed. So, if you brought your crystal ball today with you, you mentioned a little bit about it, but how do you see next 2 to 3 years, especially on the AI PC market expansion, adaptability, and so on?
yeah, well, I'd say, like I told you, I am a kid in a candy store that is in front of like one of the biggest opportunities. I have everything from when I look at my core business. Actually, I'll tell you, my total available market has never been larger.
Hmm.
Right? We have
Yeah,
opportunities in the core, which we talked about. My core business, this PC refresh,
yeah,
this Windows into service, this AI opportunity to really
hmm,
transform how people are
yeah,
using things. It's amazing. If I can take those core opportunities and then bring along an amazing visual that actually has remote management capabilities to update firmware
hmm,
remotely in a visual, in the enterprise, something we've never been
yeah,
done before. That's an experience that I can embed with these
hmm,
devices, like massive opportunity. And if I take it over into some of my solution businesses, from how I make people more productive in a conference room, to customizing a solution in retail where, from point of sale to an experience of a shopper with how they interact with technology and how they make their purchase decision. I get super excited, and I think we're going to see growth in every one of these. We're going to see growth in the core. We're going to see growth in things that make the experience better and that attach to the core. And we're going to see growth in some of these solution next wave businesses.
Indeed, that was a great discussion, Steve. Thank you very much for all of your insight. I think next couple of years are going to be really interesting, not only for Lenovo, for the whole PC industry as such.
I would completely agree. Thanks for the opportunity. And again, congratulations on your 50th podcast. It was an honor to be you called me the horse, right? Horse's mouth, the horse of your 50th podcast.
I hope you don't mind me calling you horse.
Not at all. I love it. I love it. It's great. It's good. I was just tying us back to where we started. So it's a great conversation,
Thank you
Prakash.
very much. So, folks, that's all we have for now. Hope you like this conversation. If so, please hit like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening this on. I'll be back soon with another episode, putting light on another interesting tech subject. Bye bye for now.